Sal Paolantonio, ESPN NFL reporter. Sal Pal Friday here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN, as we get ready for a NFC East matchup, Sal, between the Eagles and the Washington Redskins. Welcome back. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show. It is sort of like a game in purgatory, right, Mike? I mean, you know, it's a game that means a lot but doesn't mean very much at the same time. It's kind of weird.
What's your take on last week's effort and this week? You know, Doug kind of said not everybody gave full effort. Some of the players didn't seem to like it too much.
Yeah, no, I was really surprised that he went public with those comments. It's you know, there's an old adage, right, Mike? You praise in public and you criticize in private. Any leader in any organization knows that that's the bottom line. That's really the first rule of management. You don't want to be caught criticizing, especially NFL players in public. It doesn't get you anywhere.
No, and obviously, you know, you look at that team, the way they played, they came out down 29-0. What'd you think of, I don't want to say the effort, but what'd you think of the energy they brought into that game? It just looked like for a team that needed to figure out a way to win that road game, they didn't seem like they had the same oomph that you need to win an NFL road game.
Oh, Mike, the Bengals beat them up. That was easy to see while you were watching the game. You didn't even have to study the tape to see that. The Bengals were faster to the ball. They clearly played with more intensity and more purpose. They were smarter. Yeah, the Eagles continue to be victimized by a lot of penalties. And that penalties that at this point in the season simply should not be happening.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're missing starters, especially on offense. But right now, they're being penalized. What is it? What's the total? Eight penalties per game, which is second to last in the National Football League, worst in the NFC, Mike. So, I mean, they're not playing smart football. They're not playing fundamentally sound football. They're not a good tackling team. They're not a good coverage team in the secondary. Things have definitely eroded, even since the last time we talked. I think.
Yeah, no, and I was on a show this morning, and the host asked me about the season, and I said, you know what? It's really hard to put your finger on this team because they get out to that 3-0 start. Then they were – Sal, we talked about it last week. They've been in a lot of games where realistically the Detroit game, the Dallas game, the Washington game, this season could be so different, yet it seems that they're so much further away than they seemed like 2 months ago.
And that's not good. That's not good. I mean, not having Ryan Matthews definitely hurt. There's no question about that. But, you know, they can't seem to do the little things right at all. So I'm very concerned about the direction of the team. It's clear the fan base is concerned about the direction of the team. And so now they play the Washington Redskins. Washington Redskins against the Eagles in the last 4 games are 4-0 against the spread and straight up.
Won 4 in a row in this series. Hasn't happened since the early 80s, right? I mean, this is a series that Philadelphia typically, when you played the Redskins, it was like they were the third team. Like you took care of them. Now the thing has shifted to where the Redskins have kind of owned the series. And, you know, I go back to where the Eagles were a little while ago and where they are now. What does that say about Doug? I mean, has Doug done a good job that they were close in some of these games and the season is 5-7? Because the last couple of weeks it looks like he's been. That's why I find it so hard to put my finger on how to explain how this team got to where they are now. Did they play over their head? Did he get them over their head? I don't know how to really put that into words.
Well, I think there's one specific thing that you have to look at. In the last 3 games, Carson Wentz leads the NFL in pass attempts per game, 47. So they're now scoring only 19 points a game, 24th in the league. I think number one issue is they have no balance on offense. That's the bottom line. And defensively, the number one issue is Jim Schwartz refuses to blitz. He's only blitzing 19% of the time. He's generating no pass rush. And I had this discussion this morning on the matchup show with Jaws. He's like, if you blitz, you're going to expose your secondary. Oh, guess what? The secondary is already exposed. The secondary is already exposed. The Eagles have given up 20-plus yard completions 47 times this year, more than any other team in the league.
That being said, Sal, would you say then that the defensive line has been disappointing or a big part of why the defense is struggling? How do you put into effect why this defense has been struggling? Is it just a lack of blitzing? Because they count on that defensive line so much.
Well, when your defensive line is not getting home, you have no choice but to blitz in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. You just do.
Yeah, no, and look, Brandon Graham has not had the same second half of the season. He's been very good. That's not, but it's seemingly that they're all getting a step slower, and that, I always say you got an average secondary. An average guy can play good or he can play bad. Normally, they don't play great. If you're average, you don't jump it up 2 notches, and they're going from average to bad because they're getting exposed a lot, and they're not getting that blitz, and that's been a big problem over the last 4 weeks here. But this 4-game stretch here, Sal, what's the most important thing as they, have these 4 games, 3 of them at home?
Oh, man, that's an easy question, Mike. They got to win a game. They got to win a game in their division. They're 0-3 in their division. They got to win a game in their division. I don't care if the calendar says December and they're nearly mathematically eliminated. I don't care. I want to see heart. I want to see smart. And I want to see a win. Heart, smart, and a win.
Heart,
that's it.
Smart, win. I like that. Your take on Carson Wentz. Pederson says mechanics. Wentz says not so much. Seems like there's got to be some middle ground there, right? Or is one right over the other?
Well, the head coach is wrong to even point out one small discrepancy in the play of Carson Wentz. Again, praise in public, criticize in private, especially with a rookie quarterback that you have left shorthanded on the football field. I mean, Carson Wentz is not even, in my view, the top 20 reasons of what's wrong with the Eagles. And in no way, shape, or form should the head coach be criticizing or pointing out the shortcomings of Carson Wentz. No way.
You know what? You're right, and it's been head-scratching that you asked the guy to throw 60 times, and it's ridiculous, Al. And hey, didn't we have this discussion a couple of years ago? It'd be, hey, Andy would say we got to run the ball. It was the same thing. They were throwing the ball all over the place and didn't have the weapons to do so.
No, they don't. So they got to win a game, Mike. I mean, that's the key to me. They got to win a game, and this is the week to do it. You're at home. You haven't won a game in your division. I don't care if the calendar says that you're near mathematical elimination. You got to show that you're a professional football player and you're playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. That to me is key.
Right, because it has the feeling of, when Andy was at the end, there was apathy. At the end of the Chip Kelly, there was apathy. People just stopped caring about this team. I feel like 12 games into this season, apathy is setting in, and that's not good.
That's not good, Mike. That's not good.
You feel that?
It's not good. It's hard. It's hard to use that word, but it's the feedback that I'm getting from a lot of different people.
That's not good. ESPN Sal Paolantonio here. Washington coming in. Philadelphia, as you mentioned, 4 straight times Washington's won. Do you like Philly to respond, to get off the mat a little here? They're on one knee. Do they stand back up?
I do. I do like them. I am picking them to win the game. I think they'll find a way to win this game. I think they'll score enough points to win the game, and I think the Eagles' defense will play a lot better with a lot more energy and a lot smarter. I'm picking them to win this game. I am.
Before we let you roll, the D-Jack stuff, your take there, is it a good idea, bad idea?
He's 30 years old. I want him on a discount, but I'll take him.
Sal Paolantonio, where are you heading this weekend?
I got Houston, Indianapolis, showdown in the AFC South. I wish I was in South Philly but it's one of those things where Sports Center is like, you got to show us first, you know?
Hey, the top spot in the South on the line, and Sal Pal will be there just like he's right here every Friday on Sal Pal Fridays, 97.3 ESPN. Well, let's hope you're right this weekend and see if Doug can get these guys back on track, pal.
Okay, thanks a lot for having me on the show, Mike.